So
Good afternoon.
I guess it is, isn't it?
We were just talking as we were getting on, and Shirley moved her pillow, her brown pillow, right here, to give the illusion that it's ground.
It's earthy, earth color.
Well, it's also like a bear.
It is.
I should show it. It's kind of like a bear thing. Like we need some grounding. We need to feel like our feet are on the ground. We're not going round and round.
Yeah. And that's pretty hard right now. I'm finding it challenging. So taking advantage of what comes and trying to stay on top of the wave and letting everything grow and develop and getting to be part of it all and trying to integrate all of it. And that's a little challenging, I'm finding. So, and I'm talking to people that are having a lot of different, what they call Ascension symptoms right now. Different things like headaches and joint aches, and they can't sleep, and dizziness. I've found dizziness is one of my, I have to be careful because I'm not really dizzy, but I find myself kind of leaning over. If I go lean over too far, that's it.
It's like a little bit of vertigo, and what has been shared with me is that depending upon what symptoms you are experiencing, there is a clear path of understanding what's happening. So like the vertigo or the dizziness without actually really being dizzy, but because you get off, you could fall. That is like the physical vessel grounding the DNA, grounding the matter of you. These are like the stages of really being present in the energy and redifying yourself to create. Like you're here. If you're getting like headaches, you're getting like a lot of like buzzing, tingling. It's like the idea of the electrical currents connecting to you. So it's like an upgrade in like your system, an upgrade in your blueprint. You're getting in more information to be able to connect in then with the body. So it really talks a lot about what exactly it is that you are experiencing.
What about the eyes?
The
eyes stuff too.
So is mine. So the eyes is really, they're multifaceted, but if you think about that is like the soul's projection. So depending upon what's actually going on, like if the eyes are dry, that's saying that your emotional body is trying to recalibrate itself. And what's in your emotional body? Your soul light. If your eyes are blurry and you're like maybe waking up with like crust or you're feeling like you can't really see, it's the idea of the soul is fully coming through now and it's calibrating so it can see while you see too. There is kind of like a dual relationship between the human part of us and the soul part of us. So it's kind of like, so we're not budging each other like, get out of my way, I can't see. No, I'm seeing right now. So it's like learning to figure out how to use like the bigger essence of you through your sight by itself. The other thing too though, depending upon how you're connected, it's really like if you're connected to like Mother of the Earth, it's really like Mother being able to see through you. If you're connected to like the God elements of like, let's say the 7D, then it's really like Father trying to see. If you're connected into the idea of like expanding the Trinity, then it's really the they, the Mother and the Father. And maybe it's maybe it's the IT, maybe it's the Intel, maybe it's Source. But all of us have a different relationship with something that's much deeper than we can even understand. So the eyes are very powerful when it comes to that. And it's just showing you maybe what and where and how you are calibrating.
Yeah. And I think in the meantime, the best thing that people can do is remember that you need to breathe. If you're focused on your breath, you can't be focused on any of the other things that are going on that are creating any distress for you. And as long as you're breathing, then you might as well do what else? Drink lots of water, keep that body hydrated, the physical body, because all the bodies are really one. They work together. And so we got to do the best we can do to keep everything healthy and everything moving forward. So breathing and hydrating and eating good food, as much organic as you can or all organic, trying to pay attention to what your body's saying to you so that you eat the things that nourish your body, because those things also nourish your soul. And so that ends up being very beneficial for all of you. And I don't remember, it feels, so time is another thing that's escaping me these days. The days are like hours, if at most are hours, sometimes minutes, and the day is over. But I ran a healing session this morning for the group in the quantum field, and I can't even remember what I did because it feels like it was yesterday. I'm always operating on a different time. I'm operating in a different place. I always feel like I'm operating in a different place.
Before we go on to that, can I just add
Yeah.
something about the food? Because this has been very important in my ascension path, because my ascension path is really stretched at both ends. And so I want to tag on to what Shirley had said, like, listen to your body. And maybe a lot of that change that's coming through is asking you to eat what, like, our understanding of, like, healthier foods. Of course. But in the course of finding your new course, you may find that your body, the human part of you that came here to experience sweets, that came here to experience the finer things in life, that maybe the doctor would be like, how often are you eating or drinking that? For you to listen. Because one of the things that we sometimes forget when we're on a spiritual path or an ascension path or a healing path or whatever we want to call it, is that the human matters too. And sometimes that human wants a really good meal that is loaded up with all sorts of fixings that maybe the carrot and the salad and whatever that went along with that might not measure up to. So please remember that, you know what, your body is going to ask for something special too. And just really read into that. Is it coming from a space and place that you're trying to cover something up, or it's like an addictive type of chemistry that's going on, or is it really your body saying, excuse me, we've been working hard all week, I want something special, thank you. So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And also, then if there's anything that you want that you would like to be charged with, specific frequencies, put them in the comments, and we'll see.
Yeah, and hi, Angela. We see that you're here. Good evening. Hi, Jill. So yeah, if you have any comments, any thoughts, anything that you'd like to have charged.
Or anything to just connect with us. Because we're not just connecting through the screen. Well, the screen between us and you is actually the quantum field. So anything that you respond to, anything that you connect with or communicate with us is the same as us communicating with you. So we love to hear from you. Anything at all. Doesn't have to be a request for frequencies. Can just be whatever's going on in your life, whatever you're addressing, however you're feeling.
Well, hello, Jill. Great to see you as well. One last piece with that is that the interconnection of just connect, even like whatever you're watching, whether it would be us or something on television or the news, you're sharing your energy field with that. So since we're all here right now, we're sharing parts of our energy field with one another. And if it's something that really resonates, well, then it's a wonderful share. And think about this, like Angela from Scotland, we're sharing from way over there and all the different things that make it different than, let's say, the United States. We're sharing, and vice versa. And Jill who's skating away, Miss Figure Skater, and the way that your fluency works, you're sharing that fluency with us. So it's beautiful.
Yeah, and it's like there's no distance, although geographically on a map, or if we had to travel to Scotland or England or anywhere else, there would be a distance, but there's no distance in the quantum field, and all the possibilities exist. So We can create, and the more positivity that we send to each other, the better we can create. The more things that can become possible faster and faster. And that's what the energy is allowing us to do right now. And sometimes you can decide if you want to slow it down a little bit, if you want to adjust the flow of the water, or if you have a dimmer switch. However you'd like to look at it, you can determine how much you take in sometimes and the speed at which you adjust to it. But there's always that integration process, and that's what these Tuesdays and Saturdays help to not only bring in this energy that's now so prevalent on the planet, but also to help you integrate all of those things so that it's easier for you to move forward. So giving you ideas is one of the things that we do, and I bet you have some coping strategies that you use that we haven't mentioned, and I personally would like to hear about them, because I'm always looking for better ways of dealing with all of the challenges that I find myself facing. I mean, none of us are finished. We just keep marching on.
I want to quick go back to the breath when Shirley was talking about really being mindful of the breath, because we're talking about frequency, we're talking about calibration, we're talking about expansion, we're talking about connecting with one another. So going back to that, one of the ways to, because this is really a time that we're just sharing things, right? And we all have very different knowledge, or maybe something that's similar, but we all have something to offer up to the table. So
Right.
When you think about the breath, one of the things that I have learned that might be useful in your process is that when I notice, like maybe I'm wheezy, or I'm coughing, or I'm having a hard time just like breaking up some stuff that's in my lungs, one of the things that my guidance has shared with me is that is also a time to be thinking about the density that's within our body. So our body would be asking us at that time to be clearing some stuff that no longer can fit in the way that we breathe. Because remember, the breath is about dimensional space too. It's about are you in like the idea of the old earth 3, 4D, or are you in the idea of the divine earth 5D? And so if your chest is really having a hard time, breaking up that air, then your body, your spirit, your soul is asking you to be releasing things. So your body's always telling you stuff. The other thing is that, let's say it has nothing to do with like the congestion in the lungs, but you just feel like you can't get your breath in. Like you breathe and it just won't quite come in. What I have learned is that's high frequency that's trying to connect with your body. And the more that you fight it and get anxious, because that's the way that the body is trying to release these barriers that keep you from connecting to a more expanded version of yourself. And the more you learn, and it's hard when you can't feel like you can get your breath in, but the more you learn to relax and allow the break. Okay. This is perfect. The more we disconnected and then reconnected, the more you can allow yourself to connect back in with your body and ask your body to work for yourself, work for you, then that's the way that you can get the breath on through. It's the anxiety and the struggle and the panic that acts as a barrier. So that's another maybe thing to think about when you are really focused on your breath or your breathing.
And not only that, but you have to practice it before the panic sets in, before the anxiety and the stress is there. Because in that moment, you revert to old patterns and you freak out. And so if you've been practicing breathing and practicing relaxing and going to a place that's really comfortable, that you enjoy, that's your secret space, then it's easier for you to get into that. When you're in a panicky situation, a stressful situation, anytime anyone enters your space that doesn't agree with you, anytime you know that you're going to be confronted with something that you would rather not be confronted with, you need to have a pattern of behavior. You have to have you don't have to, but it would be advisable for you to have something in your pocket that you can take out that reminds you that this is where I go to, this is how I relax. I know my mother always used to take her ring and she put it on another finger whenever she wanted to remember anything. And I always thought that was a really good idea that had far further reaching implications than she ever used. But maybe you can find something like that that'll help you realize how to get back into your center, how to get grounded, how to relax yourself, how to stay breathing, and manage your situations a little bit easier.
In therapy, we call that your toolbox. What do you have in your toolbox? You know, I mean, it's important to have some pretty primary tools, such as a hammer, a screwdriver, you know, something on the lines of that in the toolbox as to your to-go things that you do when things kind of get awry. And we all have it, no matter where you're at, how you're doing, we all have tools in our toolbox. Nobody came in this lifetime with no tools. That's not possible. If you feel like you don't really have tools, it's just the sense of slow down, reconnect with your body. Begin to ask yourself, probably through journaling, because when you're writing, it allows the brain to work better. It distracts you a little bit, per se. And journal. Begin to build a connection. Begin to build a relationship with you. Build a relationship with you, so then the builder in you says, okay, fine, I'll let you know that we have the hammer. You know, I mean, that's all it is. It's things are hidden from us when maybe, you know what, if we had the hammer, we would have whipped it at the wall and broke it. And now guess what? We don't have a damn hammer anymore.
Or a wall.
Or a wall. Or maybe now an apartment or a house too, because they kicked your ass out. But really begin thinking in terms such as that, is that any of these coping styles, any of these tools, any of these ways of being and connecting, we already possess. It's just a matter of slowing yourself down and reconnecting so your insides will tell you about these things.
And that's really hard in this day and age where everything is even faster than microwaves. I remember when microwaves first came around and everything speeded up. But now a microwave isn't even fast enough for us. We have to have quark speed. We have to be super dupered. And so it's really hard when you're encountering that outside piece of you. If you have to go to work or you have family obligations, you have things in your life that you have to deal with on a very physical planetary level, and all of us do at some point or other. If you go to a store, you do anything, you're going to be encountering a lot of that. And so it's really handy to know that you have a way that you can step back and you can observe, you can watch what's going on without getting drawn into all of it. And if you do find yourself getting drawn into it, you have some tools, as Jessica's mentioned, to step back and utilize for yourself so that you can keep yourself on an even plane. And it'll help you also as you begin to integrate all of the energies that are coming in on the planet right now. We are going to be having some even more interesting. I was reading about this red moon, total lunar eclipse, red moon, coming on the 13th of March. I don't know any more about it than that, but it sounded significant to me. So when the time comes for the 13th of March, I'm sure we'll be talking about it.
Well, it reminds me of Red October, and I think March is adjacent to October. So there's a connection, like October is the third month in, and then March is the third month in this way. Yes, that's true, they just said. So it's the idea of the pillars connecting. So when I think about Red October, I was like, oh shit, that's some war. Oh, Lordy. But on the opposite end of the polar, that means like great justice, great movement. And now let's keep it with us individually, because the world is going as the world is going. But us individually, this is an opportunity for you to gain great ground, And I was going to share something when we were talking about 18. I saw on the timer 1818 when Shirley was Now I can't remember. So clearly,
Well, maybe I'll do a little sidebar for a minute
Okay,
because
well,
I don't
go
want
ahead.
to get I don't want to get off into tarot. But you mentioned two things that I immediately visualized tarot cards. One was your toolkit that you automatically come with, and I always think of that as the Fool, who is carrying that whole pack on his back on a stick. And in that pack, I always think are all the tools, everything that he needs. He's willing to jump off a cliff, and sometimes maybe doesn't realize that he has everything he needs he's carrying with him. And so too are we. And now you just mentioned the...
until it reconnects. Okay, then go ahead.
I don't remember that card with the black and the white pillar. I mean, I don't remember the name of the card.
Yes, the High Priestess
The
card.
High Priestess. Wow. Wow. So March 13th, October, Red
31st.
October, High Priestess coming in, get comfortable.
But that energy can come in a very uncomfortable way. So the cards that came out were hostility and balance through our energy oracle deck again. So how it's coming in may feel off. It may put you in a panic. But remember, what it's doing is it's breaking through these barriers that have kept you disconnected from yourself or out of whatever it is that you're trying to pursue. And then the three other cards that came through are a broken heart, and it came through with a man with a coin. So it's within the masculine body that there's some brokenness or feeling not good enough or not having enough money, not feeling grounded, not feeling like you know where you're going. But the third card, the Trinity that's flying in as the High Priestess to help with that is, surprisingly, the woman with the coin. So we have a couple, we have a pair in here, and that means that structure is coming in, which includes finances, which includes maybe the relationship that you've been seeking or wanting or working on building, which includes some type of employment, job, direction, connection to yourself. It's coming now, and it's about you learning to trust that and be still and allow the energy to come through, and then get your toolbox out and cope with whatever it is that is happening that's making you uncomfortable, so that you can push through and come into a great state of balance with yourself, because within balance you can create. You can create.
And going right along with that I started 20 minutes ago, is the quantum healing that we started, because it's correcting any oppression that exists within your life. If you are oppressing yourself, or if you are feeling oppressed by anyone else, or oppressed by the energies that are coming in right now, and over-analyzing all of it and getting into that mental state where you don't feel confident enough that you can move forward. So those are all the frequencies that are going to be normalized in your body right now, and you're being encouraged to let go. So some frequencies to allow you to just let go of anything that's holding you back, that's keeping you outside of where you'd like to be, because this is the time to dream. This is the time to plan and create. This is the time for you to draw to yourself, especially those times when you're feeling not totally whole, maybe dizzy, maybe sleepy, maybe loggy. Your body doesn't feel like it's moving through concrete. That happens to me sometimes. And whatever the physical symptoms are, the other day I told Jessica, I felt like my stomach was the La Brea tar pits in California, and it was bubbling and bubbling. Heaven only knows. But I had to sit down and just be with it for a while. And when you do that, then you have an opportunity to allow yourself to just relax and let go of all the stressors, and all the things that you feel aren't the way that you would like them. You can draw them to you. So the two things that I'm sending to you are concentration and mental relaxation. If you want any more, you can just let me know. And feels good.
That's nice.
So you've got some gorgeous...
I got some selenite here that we're just clearing and cleansing the field. But at the same time, we're allowing higher frequencies to come through. The composition within the selenite allows the body to connect with that. I want to add one other thing that as Shirley began talking about the quantum experience with us within the tool, I was putting the cards away. And the card that popped out before I put them away was blossoming abundance.
Ooh.
And we just had both the female, the woman with the coin, and the man with the coin. So it's just, again, support. I just really want to bring in the support that a lot of us are having fears about stability, about being safe, about being able to take care of ourselves. And the more that you allow yourself to spin in that energy, the more you keep yourself in that cycle of feeling that way. And so it's really about beginning to practice techniques that help you clear that energy in that moment that you're struggling with it, recenter yourself so that you can hear that you're okay. You're okay. I mean, that's clearly a very strong message that's being sent today.
Yes. And you never did anything wrong. You did exactly what you needed to do every step of the way. Oh.
But within that feeling that you did nothing wrong, there might be things today that you want to do differently. And it's about learning how to get from a state of regret as you move through acceptance, understanding and acceptance, into forgiveness of thyself and others, and into a new state and place that you wish to create from, and then begin again. Full acceptance and appreciation for what has happened, while also at the same time carrying through some lessons and some understandings of spaces and places that maybe you don't want to go to and through again. And knowledge maybe into spaces that you desire, that you wish to pursue. You are your own navigator. You are your own moral compass.
But listen to the chimes and let them carry you to a higher state of being. You know how to do this.
The chimes don't care which side of the bell they hit. It sounds beautiful. So the energy doesn't care what you do with it. There is no judgment within the energy. The judgment just comes from thyself. So you're the holder of the chime. So figure out how to hold your own chime, your own tune. And create music, create love, create abundance, create whatever you want.
It's a beautiful visual. Beautiful sound.
Ena shuko kia chotaka ena nani okutuka ashi wuk ta ashik ia kutuk hook ta akshik ena kutuk oshaya.
It's just clearing like any chains or binds, what binds you to your shame. Sometimes light language, that's what we call it. Light linguistics, soul speak, can come through directly and speak to your soul. You don't need to understand it.
Ia shakata anika kuku kashita ena kutuk ashiti.
So if you're willing and you're open to accept the energy that is speaking through my soul, through my mouth, through my lips to you, just take a deep breath in through your nose. And just
Just release comfortably. Hayara tia kukukia shata ea.
Perfectly.
Ia no no shakatakia.
Perfectly.
Ia nakakukukia shata.
Perfectly.
And think about maybe one thing that you wish, that you desire to release. Ashia koko yanai.
Perfectly.
And see it through your eyes. See it. Yakati ia shatiki akati tikutukutukutukuti shikiti. Yakutu o shayana.
There's a lot of harshness in the sound. It's real quick. So that means there's something that's trying to come through the voice of me.
Yeah, shatutu.
That's asking you to move. So envision that behavior, that idea, that thought, that feeling, that expression that you wish to release. And see it out the door. See it out the door.
So good. And so it is.
So it is.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I want everyone to have a beautiful day. We love you so much.
Yes. Namaste.